Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFeelava and this is SpeedPlay Touggourt number 7. So we left off, we have a huge rebellion in Peru which we will send forces to deal with. Luckily we're in a much better position with our colonial nations. They still have to deal with rebellions, but at least we have the forces to deal with them now. And they're actually there where we need them. However, that's not really going to be the main concern. For right now, we're going to finally secure East Africa and take it from Kilwa. We have a casus belli against all non-civilized or non-westernized nations in Asia now, so we're just going to use that to move ourselves all the way from the Touggourt Cape to, well, hopefully our North African holdings. So we get a good portion of our army there. 26,000 men should definitely be enough, and we begin to move around our new ships. We have 2 new trade fleets, we should get 2 more, and we are also colonizing the East Indies, which is going fairly well. There are no Europeans really there. Great Britain has their Madagascar, but that isn't really a concern to us. So we declare the war and move our forces forward. I nearly put the mercenaries on sieges, but I realized that it's much better to have them in the battles, so we don't waste our manpower. We split our armies to carpet siege the southern portion of their country and win a couple of battles, which go just overwhelmingly in our favor. We continue colonizing the East Indies and just moving forward. Unfortunately, they have forces in North Africa, which I didn't actually account for, and our transports are all trapped, so I split off half of our heavy ships and demothball them. Hopefully we will be able to get them to where they need to be quickly. However, we don't really have to worry about the sieges in North Africa, as we are just dominating in South Africa. We lost a couple ships, which really happens in every war. And unfortunately they have a reactionary rebellion, which means that Kilwa is attempting to westernize, so we might not have our casus belli for long. And they stack wiped one of our forces, which is also very unfortunate. Hopefully our navy will be ready to move down soon, so we'll just send it now. And there are more rebellions. At any rate, now that that siege is complete, we can move our army and hopefully defeat these rebellions. We defeated it, now we can just move out and destroy their army. And, okay, that worked as well as we could have hoped. Sans losing that 1 regiment. And now we'll just move all the way up their coastline. Our navy still isn't here yet, and we're actually going to stop it a couple times and have it go to port for the end of the month so it'll actually get its health back. And we'll do that a couple times. Maybe 3. At any rate, now we're sieging out the majority of their country. We've got another 30% health on our ships, 40 now. And unfortunately, Nova Touggourt's not doing too well. Our colony is finished, so we'll keep moving forward. And there we have it. We are doing fairly well against Kilwa. We can also probably get ready to move one of our transport fleets up. And we've defeated the rebels in Nova Touggourt, which is great news in and of itself. And we got an event, which I believe we can actually accept the autonomy, or the increase in liberty desire. And we move our forces ever further up. We don't really have to worry about losing really anything. We will take over all of East Africa before they can even touch North Africa. And there are more rebellions. However, the situation is overall rather good. And realistically, everything's going pretty well. The only thing we have to worry about is that their westernization will complete while we're still taking them over, in which case our war will cost a lot of diplomatic power, but that doesn't appear to have happened quite yet. Also, our army has landed in North Africa and defeated all of their allies, so despite the fact that I more or less just ignored the entirety of a front for the duration of the war, we're pretty much done, and it was really simple and straightforward. I could have been a little more on the ball with the Navy, but we're at the peace deal sort of phase, and unfortunately it looks as though they did westernize, as we lost all of our diplomatic power, which is just unfortunate. At any rate, we're going to move our forces forward. We have a good portion of our navy nearby, so we can just go ahead and take that. Portugal, unfortunately, has a colony in the East Indies, but we will take over all of the countries there, so it won't really matter. They'll have a small foothold, but it won't be too much of a big deal. Here in the East Indies, I think we'll have a fairly good run of it. Already, we declare war on a one-province minor that had no allies and was at war with its only neighbor. So if we can just keep this going, we will have most of the East Indies. Okay, we have a Regency Council. Right, that's not ideal. We are also going to have a large rebellion, and he's actually really good with a high legitimacy. And our ruler is very young, so we're not actually going to fight that. We're going to leave that guy right where he is and focus on our colonies a little bit. We do have that one war, and we're at 100% overextension, so we can't peace out immediately. We'll have to wait until we've finished coring all of these places. And we're just going to focus on that and our colonization, which is going rather well. We have taken a policy which will help. And unfortunately, they're nowhere near breaking our country, so what we're going to do is guide them to our capital. And just sort of wait until we finished coring and colonize as much as we can. Overall, it's a pretty straightforward venture. We move our armies over to get onto the east side. We have finished our cores, so we can just begin coring this new province we just pieced out with the country that owned it. And we add everything to a trade company, which unfortunately isn't nearly powerful enough to get us an extra merchant. But we tried. At any rate, we're now going to keep our armies on the east of this rebellion, so they'll hopefully be pushed west to the capital. At which point, it's basically going to be a 10-year race between this pretender rebellion and our heir to see who will eventually lead the country. So, who knows? Hopefully that'll be interesting. Look, they've sieged another province. So, as we see, they are racing across the countryside. Who will win? Will our heir get 10 years of age in the time that it takes this army to move across North Africa? They've won a small battle against an army that I didn't actually pay attention to. And look at that, they're already almost all the way out of Egypt. It is riveting stuff, folks. And, yeah, there we go. Hopefully we will be able to declare war relatively quickly, and thank God the Ottomans have called us to arms. So we're just going to send one of our armies. We don't actually have to keep very many troops near these rebels, as they only have 2 provinces they could possibly go into, or just stay put. So we just move our 2 armies that were guarding them over into Hejaz. As I've mentioned earlier, I try not to let the AI drag me into wars, as they never really give you anything for your efforts. However, at this point, we're not actually doing anything with these armies other than using them to ghost a rebellion. So they may as well be occupying Hejaz. Maybe the Ottomans will appreciate us. Meanwhile, our colonies are coming along well. Our army is doing alright. Funge is also westernizing, as you can tell by their reactionary rebels, who we should actually probably help them with, as a westernized vassal is far more useful than an unwesternized one, and will eventually give them more provinces, as it's a bit ridiculous keeping them a 2-province minor this whole time. So there we go, our brave forces march unopposed into Hejaz, and we defeat the reactionary rebels. All great things. We take a moment to focus on our trade and add a new merchant to Zanzibar. So hopefully that will increase our income by at least some small amount. The rebels are making their amazing progress. I tried to build another trade fleet, but accidentally built heavy ships, and I won't actually notice that for until basically the end of this video. Meanwhile, I move one of our larger transport fleets to just gather up men, because this area has a large number of natives. So it's actually probably for the best that we can't go to war, as it gives us more forces. We lose a stability, which is unfortunate. However, we're not really going to have to worry about much going on with our stability in the near future. Hejaz has been pieced out with, so we move our armies back to ghosting this rebellion. The Netherlands have declared independence and are fighting the French alone at the moment, but now Spain is on the Netherlands side. So who knows how that'll go. Hopefully, it will basically just destroy the Western Europeans and we won't have to deal with them. That is basically the best way it could go for us. Our rebels are making tremendous gains. Look at them go. They're almost halfway there. So, with that all said, Oh, look. They're moving forward again. Great. Fantastic. However, it looks as though there might be a bit of an issue coming up in South America. Hopefully it won't actually be anything serious. Or, well, then again, we are in a very long Regency Council. It is nearly over, though. And when it ends, we're just going to defeat these rebels if they can't make it to the capital in time to win their war. So at really any point we could end this rebellion. Which may actually be something we need to do. However, we are going to have to worry about a war with Portugal, which may break out because our colonial nation is at war with one of their colonial nations, which pretty much just means that war is inevitable. It's not that bad, though. Portugal is probably the European colonial power we can beat in a stand-up fight, which is really good because that seems to be the only option available to us. So what we're going to do is move in after these rebels, and from there, plan our next moves. Thank you very much for watching. This has been SpeedPlay Touggourt Episode 7. Next time, almost certainly the war with Portugal.